everyone, and welcome back to our yearly roundup of all the weird news that's happened in 2023. I'm back today with a few more weird tales from the year just past. This isn't your usual news roundup, this is strictly the stuff that makes you go, what? As quite frankly, the regular news is far too depressing and genuinely terrifying. So instead, we'll be exploring a few lighter, weird and wonderful stories that may have not made it into the regular newspaper. Now, that's not to say that these stories don't dally with the dark side, because they most definitely do, but there's also some light-hearted strangeness too. But don't worry, if anything is going to be hideously awful, then I'll give you a heads up first. So with the disclaimer out of the way, let's jump into May. Before we kick off today's stories, if you are new here, then hi, my name's Nikki and I make podcast videos and TikToks about all sorts of weird stuff. So if you're into that, which I have a sneaking suspicion you might be, then please hit subscribe so we can hang out together again. And if you're not new here, then welcome back, old fiend. Nice to see you again. On the 6th of May 2023, one of the biggest historical events to have happened in over 70 years occurred in the UK. After Queen Elizabeth died in 2022, a new monarch was to be crowned, and on the 6th of May, King Charles III celebrated his coronation. Now, I'm going to preface this by saying I'm not a royalist, and I won't be singing their praises. So if you are, then probably skip ahead to our next story, because I'm not going to be nice about them. The coronation, which cost the great British public during a cost of living crisis, crippling debt and desperately underfunded public services, £100 million. It was the most expensive coronation the monarchy has ever carried out. We are one of only 2 places in the world left to carry out such a royal rumpus, with Tonga being the only other place which carries out a full coronation. Anywhere else has made it kind of a bit of a faux pas and removed the need for the general 2 fingers up to the nation's residents, spending the money on better things. Despite advisors telling the royals they should not be flaunting their wealth during this financially dark time, they did it anyway, using public funding. Really sensitive actions from our ruler there, who is literally a billionaire. However, I won't turn this into a complete tirade, as actually I do understand that the royals do bring a large amount of money into the economy, with the coronation being part of that, and from a historical standpoint, I do kind of get it. Maybe not so much in the modern day, where I think we should be starting to move on, but, well, it's complicated for me as someone who enjoys history. However, do I think old Charlie could have at least chipped in a few quid to prevent the general public from paying for a party we weren't even invited to? Yes, I do. So instead of blowing more hot air up the proverbial royal backside, I thought we could instead look at some of the weirder things surrounding the coronation and some strange things which happened on the day itself. First off, I don't think Charles himself was particularly happy to be there. He barely cracked a smile for the whole event and seemed incredibly grumpy, which is not something I would have expected from someone partaking in the most lavish event that ever happened in the UK. Charles was seen mumbling away in his gold chariot on the way to the ceremony and then sat grumpily throughout the whole thing. After the event, some media outlets hired lip readers to translate what he'd said, and one reported the king complaining to Camilla, saying, "This is boring." So if that doesn't tell you all you need to know about the petulance of the man, then I don't know what does. So whilst the restless royal grumped his way throughout the ceremony, there were various tasks he had to undertake, one of which being the whole point of the ceremony, being crowned. The incredibly heavy fancy hat was somewhat shoved onto his majesty's head, and he didn't look best pleased about it. Now, of course, I do understand that the king is just a person at the end of the day, and having to do something as stressful as this could send even the kindest person into a meltdown. But I do have a hard time sympathising with the billionaire having to sit on a throne and wear a fancy hat, as it doesn't seem like the most taxing of tasks in all honesty. So, aside from the angry actions of our new liege, what other strange things happened on the day itself? Well, first up, one of my favourite things was Katy Perry, who attended the event, getting lost. She was at the Coronation as a result of her charity work with a few organisations King Charles has been involved in. She managed to get lost on the way back to her seat after a comfort break and just bimbled about in the Abbey awkwardly until she found her seat. To be fair to her, this is definitely something I would do, so you can't blame her for losing her way. A little tip from a perpetually confused person in public places: always look behind you once you stand up, because then you know what you're looking for when you come back. You can thank me later for that one. Confused celebrity aside, there was also another kind of celebrity spotted lurking around in the background, and that's everyone's favourite Death King, the Grim Reaper. The hooded figure was spotted by a TikTok user who uploaded a video of the mysterious figure roaming around in the background. When officials were contacted at the Abbey, they were able to clear up the confusion by saying that this was just a verger and not the Angel of Death waiting to pick off the elderly king. I spotted straight away that this wasn't the real Grim Reaper. He definitely walks with far more gravitas. Or should that be floats with far more gravitas? Another strange thing about the coronation was the actual invite to the event itself. The invite featured a prominent green man at the bottom of the design, which led some people to believe this may have been an admission of King Charles being a pagan. However, His Majesty is known to be very in touch with environmental issues and a big nature lover. So instead, it's thought this was put on the invite as an embodiment of his love for the natural world and not an admission of being a pagan. The Green Man symbol has only really been seen as a pagan symbol since the late 1930s, as it was referred to in an article in British Folklore magazine where the foliage-covered head was dubbed as such. From then on, the Green Man, who had actually appeared throughout churches since the medieval times, took on a new pagan significance. But if you go into any old church, you will often find he is somewhere carved within the building as a symbol of God's creation of nature. Father Nature, if you will. Another link to the natural world was the specific holy oil which was blended for the occasion. A part of the ritual done in private, which leads some to believe that this may be a little more sacrificial in nature than the public are allowed to see, is that oil is rubbed into the new royals' temples to signify their alliance with God. 2 officials from Jerusalem create and bless the oil, which contains olives, orange blossom, neroli, cloves and cinnamon, amongst other botanicals, and which I reckon smells like a fancy branch of lush. The ritual is performed in private and is actually the moment the king is officially crowned. The actual hat part of it all is just for show. The reason this is done in private is because this is a religious moment when the king is officially called forward as the representative from God to rule over the nation. Okay then, sounds really real and not like something entirely made up. I could of course not comment on if this is when a blood sacrifice takes place or if they remove their human suits and turn back into reptiles. But yes, magic god oil sounds as legit as any of those things. As we've already started to go down the weird path, one spectator also reported a UFO flying alongside the RAF flypast, which was part of the after-party of the event. A man viewing the flypast from his balcony said he caught a strange shape on camera floating alongside the sky procession made by the red arrows. A small object was revealed on a photo he'd taken, which looks like a small red acorn. The photographer enhanced the photo, and despite him being perplexed, to me, it's quite obviously a lost heart balloon, complete with string, which had been let go by someone in the crowd. So I don't think any ETs were dropping by for a snoop at the whole to-do. So this coronation, which was far more religious than his mother's before him and contained more of a holistic approach, was definitely something which made history, and the odd things which happened just make it even more fun to add to the history books. So, having just spoken about some really expensive stuff, I've got something up my sleeve that could really help to save you some money. Okay, so as we all know, Christmas is just right around the corner, and that means it's time to stock up on presents and buy some great gifts for your friends and family. But what if I told you there was a way you could earn some of that money back via cashback? And then that means you can spend it on the person that means the most, which is you. Let me introduce you to QUIDCO, the place where you can get more money from your shop. If you're looking to save money over the Christmas period, and aren't we all, then QUIDCO has got your back. If you're spending the money anyway, you may as well get some back. There's no catch, just cold, hard cash in your pocket, which you can transfer to an Amazon gift card or get it paid straight back into your bank account to spend on whatever you like. It's your money after all. If you head to QUIDCO, you can search all your favourite brands and you're just one click away from earning cash back on all of your purchases. From fashion and beauty to even takeaways and groceries, you can get money back every time you spend, which is a literal bonus at this time of year. They even have a countdown to Quidmas events, which every day reveals an exclusive deal with a huge brand. So far, there have been deals from brands like Fortnum & Mason and Nike, to just name two of the heavy hitters. And believe me, I've seen the list of who is on the calendar coming up, and you're going to want to check it out every day to help you with your Christmas purchases, because there are some incredible deals, and you can also combine it with your £10 sign-up bonus. As we approach January, if you're like me, you might be looking to do a bit of a personal overhaul of your own finances, and that's where I've found QUIDCO to be really useful, as when I've switched insurance providers in the past, they've paid me cash back on that switch. So not only am I getting a better deal on my car insurance, I'm getting cash back too. It's a no-brainer and makes me feel like I'm 100% winning at life. The best part is QUIDCO is 100% free to sign up to, and I have an exclusive deal just for you too. Head to the link in the description and you can get a fantastic £10 cash back for all new members. But you'll need to be quick, as this is a limited time deal which expires on the 31st of December. But you know what that means? You can use that £10 cash back on a treat for yourself from the Boxing Day sales. I've been using QUIDCO for quite a few years now, which is why I was so pleased when they asked me to share this deal with you. And you'll be amazed at how quickly your cashback can stack up when you're a regular online shopper like I am. And it's such a lovely surprise to see the money go back into your own pocket. Like I said, there's no catch, and it's a very financially smart thing to do, which you won't regret, because we can all do with getting those extra pennies where we can. Join QUIDCO now for free by using the link in my description, which is very important, or else you won't get your free £10, and start earning cash back today on all your favourite brands. But be quick, because the offer expires on the 31st of December. Happy shopping! Now let's get back into the episode. 2023 is definitely the year that artificial intelligence has started taking a big leap into our everyday lives. From the success this year of ChatGPT to the controversies of it stealing art from creators and turning them into its own uncanny valley recreations. There's no denying that AI is slowly starting to become a day-to-day part of our lives, and the initial resistance to the technology is slowly subsiding as we understand how useful it can be and how it's able to revolutionise businesses. Whilst AI may not be suited for intervening in areas like the creative arts, for example, the new Beatles song it produced from old offcuts of unreleased tracks was not good, well, I don't like the Beatles anyway, so I'm never going to like it. I also don't like Queen as well, if you want to take me off your Christmas list for that too. But it can't be denied that it's changing the face of our future. Businesses are now embracing the technology and using it to streamline their work. But despite concerns that it's taking jobs away from people, it's actually creating more than ever, as people are required to make the systems and monitor its progress. Despite people being terrified of our new robot overlords, one company has grown to love them for the sheer fact that it has made their lives much easier. When incorporating a version of ChatGPT into their workflow, they found the system was able to streamline their processes, write out solutions to problems, and do simple things like crafting quick responses to emails, which made things much easier for the teams involved in the trial. The machines did require the prompts and critical thinking of the workers to delineate the best course of action, but overall, the outcome was positive and collaborative. The team which were working with the bots performed much better than the other team which didn't have any AI assistance, and the progression was clear that the help was beneficial overall to the company. Now, interestingly, this trial study has shown the AI can really benefit people who are new to their jobs. The AI was able to teach new team members how to do things the company way, which made for a more unified approach to their work. However, those that had been in their jobs for a while reported that they didn't see as much benefit and found that often they had to go and unpick the machine's work as they would have done things differently. I suppose that's like any job. You find the shortcuts that work for you despite them not being the way that the company might want you to do it. What the newbies found was that they were able to excel at their job in a shorter amount of time and quickly grew their skill set, which allowed them to progress faster, much to the chagrin of those that had been in their jobs for longer and had to learn everything the hard way. So this study, which has been carried out at an anonymous business at the legal request of the company, is now feeding into how other companies can introduce AI into their workplaces. As we all know, when it comes to money, there are legitimate concerns that this kind of technology will take away jobs and cause major problems for those who don't know how to create AI or how to work with it. The interesting thing is that AI's effect is, of course, only limited to things it can help with, such as computer-based technologies. In terms of practical work, that can only be carried out by humans. This has meant that there is now a widening disparity between skilled workers and technology workers, with skilled workers not seeing much of a change in their working practices, which is putting them at serious risk of being left behind in a vastly evolving technological landscape. It could be that in time, AI will catch up and be able to fix your boiler, grow crops, or build a house, but as yet, humans are still required to do those tasks. This is another concern that the office jobs many of us have done for our whole lives will be stopped and only manual labour roles will be left. As this new technology grows and adapts, it's imperative that companies keep an eye on what that means for their workers. But as we all know, no business person has ever put people over profits. It's always the other way round. Some businesses have already integrated robots and are using them in place of things like receptionists. So for now, keep an eye on those changing technologies and watch out for any new colleagues starting. Maybe spill a drink on them from day one to see if they spark a little, and if they do, maybe lock them in the stationery cupboard. Thanks for joining me for that selection of weird stories. I hope you enjoyed them, and if you did, there'll be more along soon, so make sure you're subscribed or following if you're not already to keep up with the series. If you like the show and what I make in general and want it to continue, then please consider becoming a Patreon supporter, like our executive Patreon producers, Amy, Christina, Christophe, Kate, Kevin, Lisa, Mary, Meg, Rose, Sally, Sam, Sarah, Teresa, Terri, V and Veronica, and all of our other patrons too. If you sign up to Patreon, you get access to my other podcast, Having a Problem, which is lots of silly historical-based fun, plus hours of other bonus content too. If you'd rather just send a tip or a little Christmas gift from my Amazon wishlist, then I would massively appreciate that too, and I'll leave all the links in the show notes in case you want to check them out. An enormous thank you for even considering doing any of those things, particularly when I know things are tight for a lot of people, so it really does mean the world to me, and I'm always amazed people want to help me create this creepy empire we can all call home, and it feels very good to know that you do, and I feel really appreciated, so thank you very much. Of course, there's all the free things out there, such as sharing the show around, telling your friends, and reposting my social media posts. And that's all more helpful than you know. Let's make 2024 the year I am able to do this full time, please. That's what's on the vision board, and you're a huge part of making that dream come true. Thank you for joining me for this episode. I've been Nikki Druce. Remember to stay spooky, and I'll see you ghouls next time for June.